The next day, Wednesday night, November 9th, with 2 targets for the night, both of whom we planned on disposing of ASAP, Misa and I began making our way to the home of our first target, praying for another quick night's work. We had asked Sai for permission to take the night off from training, giving us more time to finish our work for the week. Given that one target had already offed himself, however, and that the 2 others were close in proximity, that extra time appeared to be unnecessary. Stopping a few blocks away, Misa and I walked the remaining distance to our target streets. We also wore our training garbs under our street clothes, concealing our weapons in a similar manner, and avoided streetlights wherever possible, all to draw as little attention to ourselves as possible. Tonight is going to be tricky, given that our commissioner specifically requested that we make their deaths brutal. Adhering to his request will mean making it bloody. In other words, messy. And a messy crime scene usually means messy killers. We'll be able to cover up any blood we get on our training garbs by putting our street clothes back on, and the noise shouldn't be a problem if we're quick, but nonetheless, the risk is certainly higher than usual. Starting with the house of Ms. Mendez, Misa and I entered effortlessly, literally pushing the door open and walking right in. Misa and I shed our outer layers before entering, leaving our everyday clothes near the entrance to Miss Mendez's home. Having stripped off into our work gear, Misa guided me to a closet further in, where we uncovered the bat she found earlier. Now that we're here, I have to wonder, is a bat really the right tool for this job? It may be brutal, but it's also going to be unnecessarily messy, and we can't afford to travel back home covered in blood. If nothing else, we could always change back into our other outfits outside and find some way to dispose of our training garbs. Then again, Misa, let's swap. I handed Misa the sheets I picked up, and in turn, I took the bat from her. Misa may be more experienced than I am, but she's still a teenage girl, or still just a teenage girl. She doesn't have the upper body strength for what comes next. Oh, there she is sleeping. I peered into the master bedroom at the end of the hall, and surely enough, there was Mrs. Mendez. She kinda looked like a witch. Although it was different to see, her bedroom appeared to be much cleaner than the rest of the house, which made walking over to her side a straightforward task. But what the fuck? It has been 2 days, right? Or 1 day since we last went into her house, and the main living room was still a freaking mess. So she decided to just come home after that and was like, I'm not even gonna clean this mess up or whatever. She didn't even do anything. She just left the living room the way it was and was like, yeah, I'm going to bed. Like, what? How can you not even do anything about the shit that happened in your living room? Misa and I took our positions on either side of the bed, prepared for our first kill of the night. I readied my bat, and Misa held up the sheet, already aware of exactly what I had planned. Sleep well, adulterer. Oh! My arm swung down violently until a loud crack echoed throughout the room. Dead center, I struck, splitting Mrs. Mendez's head wide open with a single blow. Her white sheets were immediately dyed red from within, allowing only a few fragments of bone to escape. Her blood trickled out from under the sheets, but not far enough to reach her killers. The sheets fulfilled their duty surprisingly well, sparing Misa and I from the mess I feared. Needless to say, no signs of life remained. No movement, no sounds of breathing, not even a whimper. Misa and I, clean, unharmed, and unseen, sneaked into our first target's house, executed her, and remained clean to depart, or clear. A perfect kill. Cha-ching! I placed the bat back where Misa found it, unable to keep myself from smirking at the thought of how easy, fast, and overall perfect the night's first kill had proven. Maybe this really is my calling. Even without paying or taking the pay and freedom into account, I'm enjoying tonight to a frightening degree, and I don't fear training or going to work anymore. As a violent, amoral youth with a desperate need for cash, this might just be the perfect job for me. See, exactly, he seems to be enjoying this so much. Why was he ever thinking about freedom? Isn't this considered freedom for him? But not for Misa, apparently. Sparing only a moment to ponder the look Misa gave, I followed her out the back door, closing it behind me. With our job half done, Misa and I put our regular clothes on once more, then headed along the sidewalk and straight to Mr. Crane's house. Misa began to pick the lock on Crane's back door while I attempted to see through the window. At times like this, I understand why Sai uses night vision headgear. I'm sure they're expensive, but they definitely be of help. Even without a decent source of light, Misa managed to leverage entry in record time. The two of us shed our regular clothes once more, readied our weapons, and without further delay, we went inside. Kill number 2, let's go. Misa and I entered through the back door, far more carefully than with Miss Mendez, alright, because we know how dangerous this guy could possibly be. Whatever kind of military service Mr. Crane was involved in, even if it wasn't as a soldier, the kind of training he must have undergone makes him a threat. We need to be especially careful and not make any careless mistakes. Humbled by the sudden creak I no doubt caused, I slowed my pace, treading as lightly as possible. As we entered the hallway, Misa and I carefully stepped over the tripwire she spotted earlier. Though her discovery saved us from potentially being discovered, it also served as a worrying reminder Mr. Crane is prepared to handle an intruder. Oh yeah, look at Misa sneaking. Misa continued forward slowly, looking around carefully with every step she took, wary that another trap might be awaiting us. I followed a few steps behind, keeping low to the floor and checking behind us intermittently. Misa neared the end of the hallway, ready to soon progress into the master bedroom. However, as Misa slowly crept forward, a figure emerged from the darkness. Brandishing a golf club, Mr. Crane sneaked out of his hiding spot. He raised the club above his head, ready to down Misa in one strike. Oh my god. Warn Misa strike first. Oh my god. Misa is fast. I think if we warn her, she'll be fine. But like, it's a golf club. What's the damage that he can do? He can hit her really hard on the head, but I don't think that's going to kill her. At the most, it will give her a concussion. And, okay, maybe, I don't know if it could break the skull of her, or fracture her skull a little bit. That would be dangerous. That could possibly kill her. Okay. Fuck. Strike first. Like, it's so hard to see. She doesn't see it at all. Okay. I actually didn't notice the shadow in this image at all. But okay, so Misa doesn't see it at all. But I think if we warn me, oh my, this is so hard. Like, because it's an option between both options is trying to save Misa, right? But I guess strike first is better, because it's not going to be the thing that I was worried about. If I strike first, if that would possibly interfere with what Misa is doing and would cause some sort of scuffle that might accidentally get her hurt. But from the way that this image is portrayed, that's what was his name? Mr. Crane. He's coming at her from the side, and Misa doesn't see it at all. So this assumes that we're kind of behind Misa, and we see him, and then we just stab him from the side. You know, Misa's kind of at a pretty decent distance away. So I think striking first is going to be the best course of action here. Oh yeah! Before Mr. Crane could take a swipe at Misa, I plunged my knife into his chest from behind, in one side and out the other. Misa responded immediately, ducking out of the way and readying her blade. She understood the situation in an instant, and the opening I afforded her was more than enough. I twisted my blade, causing Mr. Crane to buckle under the pain and fall to his knees, right into Misa's strike zone. Oh, tag team! With Mr. Crane at a more accessible height, Misa hacked her blade straight through his neck. severing the man's head from his shoulders. Okay, that's definitely brutal. One cut was all it took. Her graceful movement sent his head soaring, spraying blood in every direction, instantaneously robbing him of his life. I removed my knife from his chest and wiped the blood from my face. Thanks to my position at the moment of his execution, it proved impossible not to get any blood on me. Misa took a step back, trying to keep the pooling blood from getting on her shoes, not at all taken aback by the familiar sight before her. Dang. Brutal indeed. Phew, that was close. You think this is funny? No, don't answer that. All that matters is that our work is done for tonight. Three days later. Saturday morning, November 12th. Having completed my work for the week as early as Wednesday, the ensuing days proved as boring and unproductive as I'd feared. Thursday and Friday alike, I had nothing to do. No work, no hobbies, and with my sister at school, nobody to tease. I did meet up with Misa each day, as usual, and at night we still trained, but for most of the day, I was bored senseless. In a sense, the boredom made me glad that I went to high school. After all, if there's one thing high school prepared me for, it's wasting entire days without doing a damn thing. What did concern me, however, was where my mind drifted in the meantime. With all of the time I had been spending with Misa lately, I thought that I was beginning to understand her. Her playful attitude, her cheerful demeanor, her serious killer instincts. One by one, every side of Misa was being exposed to me, giving me further insight into my partner. But 3 nights ago, when I bashed Mrs. Mendez's head in, I saw something different. Was it sorrow? Disappointment? Fatigue? I can't quite place it, but something about Misa's expression back then really concerned me. I was only doing my job, doing her job, and yet she looked at me as though I'd done something wrong. Honestly, thinking back at the look she gave me actually hurts. But worrying about it won't do any good. If I want to get to the bottom of this, the best thing to do would be to find and confront her. Unfortunately, even if I did, it's not like she'd tell me anything. Whether Misa really is mute, unable to speak English, simply shy, or something else completely, she won't say a word to me. At best, I get the occasional giggle or cough out of her, and that's it. Even so, this isn't something I can just forget about. I can't walk away from this without clearing things up. So the question now is, how can I do that without speaking to Misa? Wait, you want to do this without speaking to Misa? And then an option is send Misa a text? Oh, I guess without speaking to her face to face? Huh. As weird as it may sound, I mean, the thing is, I feel like if we approach Sai is gonna pull the same shit as last time. It's going to think like, oh no, I know better than you. I'm her father. Blah blah blah. Karasu actually seemed somewhat understanding of not necessarily the situation, but just like, oh, you're like, oh, Misa and Suoh together. Congratulations. Like, that was a little bit surprising, I guess. But I don't think he cares about this whatsoever. Like, he is the head of our organization, right? I don't think he's going to be worrying or keeping himself busy with like little things like this. So the only other option that then remains that seems the most sensible to me is send Misa a text, because I feel like, I don't know, when you have problems with a specific thing, usually the best thing to do is go to the source directly. I feel like this choice is actually really important as to how it's going to possibly end up with Misa and I together. Like, not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic relationship or whatever, but just, I don't know, like a possible friendship that we have at the moment and how it's going to bloom further or just completely kind of disappear. And not just that, but like Misa's future herself, because the vibe that we get from her, right, is that mostly, like, yeah, she is good at what she does, and she doesn't appear to have feel too bad about what she does, but what we have done with Misa, yeah, all these trips going out and that sort of thing, we revealed her to a whole different world that I feel like she didn't even know existed, or didn't even know she wanted to be a part of. Because of Sai, basically, I don't know if he forced her to do this, or was just the really restrictive parent and just like, oh, no. And I just feel like that's the case a little bit with Sai, and that's why Misa led kind of this sheltered life. But because of us, her world has opened up. She's seen a lot of different things that before she hadn't seen at all, and therefore realizes that perhaps, sure, I was good at this, sure, I perhaps even kind of like doing it or not, but it's not what I want to do for the rest of my life, and I want to do something different. She found a different passion almost, I feel, or at least she found, not necessarily a different passion, but just she found that her passion does not lie here. So I think that this is an important choice, and I think that the best course of action usually is to try and just go to the source, or the source of the problem, the root of the problem immediately. I mean, it's not wrong to ask Sai or Karasu first, because sometimes to get to the root of the problem you have to ask information from the other people around it as well. But I just feel like going to ask Sai or Karasu it's not going to end well for either of us. I think it's going to end up worse if we ask Sai. I think Karasu is like, whatever, I don't really care that much. And Misa, I think this is the best course of action, I feel, if we really want to try and think about what that was and, try and solve it. So we're gonna send her a message. Well, I was given this phone specifically so I could contact my coworkers, and even if Misa is mute, there's nothing stopping her from sending a text message. Let's see. Now, I may not be a genius when it comes to technology, but even I can send a text message. Misa, I'd like to talk to you about Wednesday night. That ought to do it. Now Huh? Already? Meet me at Karasu's office. Okay. So she did reply in English. Well, that's odd. Not wanting to talk through text messages is one thing, but Misa actually wanting to meet at Karasu's office? If she wanted to see me, I figured Misa would ask to meet in public somewhere and use the meeting as an excuse to play around the city, just like any other day. Did Sai have her phone? Like, is Misa not even allowed to have her own phone? At any rate, I'm halfway there already. A trip to Karasu shouldn't take long, and if it means gaining peace of mind, then it's a trip I'll gladly make. Hello? Yo. Uh-oh. Ha ha ha. Now it all makes sense. What makes sense? Misa, Karasu, Sai. The whole gang is here. Why does Misa seem upset? But neither Sai nor Misa seem particularly happy. Did I come at a bad time? I was wondering who would have called, given how quickly Sai snatched away Misa's phone. I knew it. I hope your texts aren't too flirty. Misa's guardian angel is quite overprotective. So that's it. I texted Misa. Sai saw the name of the sender and snatched her phone away, then replied to my message himself. No wonder Misa wanted to meet me here. So, what is it that you wanted to talk about? You said it was about Wednesday night, so that means it must be work related, right? Yep, overprotective, alright. Not that I wouldn't do the same if some guy was texting Sara about what they did together late at night. Well, it's kind of hard to talk about when we're all here together like this. Oh, and why might that be? Surely it isn't a private matter. Is it? Damn it, Sai. It's not private exactly. It's just... Just what? Oh my god. Screw around, cut to the point, and ask Misa directly. Oh, well, what is screwing around gonna do? It's just, I guess it's just beating around the bush and not getting to the point exactly. Therefore, making them more confused and possibly more upset, or just a little bit annoyed, because then we're not really... Then they know that we can't... Then they definitely know that it's a private matter. Making Sai possibly more upset, or making them think that there's more behind me and Misa than there actually is, because, you know, we're just good friends at this point. So there's nothing more behind that. We're not boyfriend, girlfriend, or anything along those lines. So if we cut to the point and ask Misa directly, it is a sensitive topic, or like a quote-unquote private, but not too private, you know? It's private between two of us two, I feel, that we should both discuss, but it's only because Sai is here. It's not because it's only something that we both did, and because it's private because it's something that it's only about two of us, because we did something inappropriate, or we did something that, you know, that takes our friendship to the next level. It's not anything like that. But I feel like it's all about Misa's best interest, right, into what she wants. And I feel Sai, as a father, sure, you can be overprotective of a child, but you can only protect your child up to a certain point. And I feel like this is already a little bit past that point. At a certain point, you just have to let your child do what they want, and hope that you have raised them in a good enough way that they're able to make responsible choices of their own, right? And even if they make mistakes, I mean, sure, it's a saying that people, and even like teenagers, or that people have just turned adults, say often on their own, like, yeah, if I make a mistake, it's my own mistake to make. But there is some truth to that, you know? The only way you learn is from mistakes. And if you're not allowed to make mistakes, or aren't allowed to make any choices at all, you're not going to learn at all. So I mean, Sai can't police her life for the rest of her Misa's life, right? So if Sai ends up being out the picture for whatever reason, Sai wouldn't even know, or Misa wouldn't even know what the frick to do on her own, I guess. So you just, at some point, you just gotta, it goes too far when you're being overprotective, and I think this is it. So it's not the best possible chance to bring this up with Misa present, and with Sai and even Karasu here, but I don't think we gotta do it. Screw it. Talking through Sai isn't going to get me anywhere. Misa, on Wednesday night, did I do something wrong? You know, back in the house of Miss Mendez, when I handled her, you seemed kind of sad. Yeah, just like that. Maybe I'm thinking like too much behind this, and it's actually just, maybe it reminds her of her past or something, a bad memory of her past. So that's it. You made the killings as brutal as requested, and accidentally showed Misa a side of yourself she hadn't seen before. Huh? A new side of myself? I don't get it. It's not like Miss Mendez was the first person I killed in Misa's presence, and her reaction to Crane's death was one of nothing more than relief. Still, at the very least, it sounds like Sai knows what I'm talking about. Misa, honey, you were scared, weren't you? What? You were scared? Wait, what? Misa? Scared of me? I don't understand. Doesn't Misa do this sort of stuff all the time? She's been at this longer than I have, right? What if Misa has just been tagging along? Oh my god. What if this has just been a really elaborate take your daughter to work thing, and Misa hasn't actually done any of the killing herself, and Sai has always done the killing for her, and now that now that they have found a babysitter for her, which is me, Suoh, they've been like, oh yeah, let's pawn her off on him. While she hasn't actually been as exposed to as many things as we thought she was. And it was Sai always doing the dirty business, cleaning up after everything and that sort of thing. You're misunderstanding. It isn't the act of killing that is frightening. What's scary is that you enjoy it. What? In order to shield Misa from the rest of our conversation, Sai took me out of Karasu's office, all the way to the parking lot through which I had initially entered. Despite being noon at the latest, the car park was empty, as expected of the parking lot of an abandoned building. For Sai and myself, this meant we could talk in peace, without being mindful of either passers-by or friends and family. Boy, you really stepped on a landmine this time. That's the first time I've seen Misa look at anybody like that. Except at me, of course. At you? She gave the same look of fear and disappointment to her father? No. What am I thinking? Of course she did, and it was probably for the same reason. As much as it pains me to say this, you were right about my daughter. Misa is nothing like me. To her, this job is a means to an end, something she was brought up with, that she endures, and even is good at, but not something she enjoys. She could take this job or leave it. She could go to school and get an education or find another line of work. She could find enjoyment elsewhere. But I can't. I've been doing this for just over 2 decades now. It's too late for me to change. And even if I wasn't, or if it wasn't, I wouldn't want to change. Sai's voice quickly changed from a soft-hearted, kind tone back to its usual mark, a mask of intimidation. The moment he swapped from talking about his daughter to talking about himself, all of the love in his voice disappeared, replaced with the malice of a veteran killer. Suoh, Karasu is of the opinion that you're an extremely adaptable young man. In fact, that's the primary reason you were hired in the first place. But is that really the case? Could you give up this line of work and be happy elsewhere, just like Misa? Or are you like me, single-minded and focused to a fault? More to the point, are you still able to stop killing? Would you be able to give up your recent lifestyle and start anew? Oh my god, yes, no, maybe with Misa by my side? Oh my god. I mean, then you're basically kind of, with the third option, telling him like, I like Misa and she could change me, something along those lines. But I have a feeling, the thing is, I think Suoh is fairly similar to Sai, but I think a large part of that is due to this quote-unquote sickness, and not. I don't think everything comes from Suoh himself. He's not like that himself, but I think it's mostly the sickness. Like, even if you don't see it, you always see like those thorny vines and that voice talking in his head, like whenever it's present, when it's visibly present. But I think even deep down, that sickness inside of him, we're just gonna refer to it as that voice inside his head, is always pushing him a little bit, even though we don't see it. I feel like that might be driving him a little bit, and why he's even, comfortable with killing all of those people. That's what I think, at least. It can't just be only that it's only during those moments when we see the thorny vines and stuff. I think it's even there. I mean, it's just less present, less visibly present when you don't see the thorny vines. But I feel like when he's killing, it's part of that voice inside him is just driving him to do it, and actually just, getting enjoyment out of it as well. Not to say that Suoh doesn't get any enjoyment out of it either. I think, he's, even if he weren't have that sickness, he would probably still be kind of a sick, fucked up individual, and probably still find some pleasure out of doing this job, but not to the extent of Sai. That's what I think. So that makes this answer so hard. Do we say yes because we think of the perspective of our sickness, and that we're just, maybe the sickness inside of us is exactly what Sai has as well. It's not really an illness, a sickness or whatever, but it's just I don't know, something else inside of us driving us to do this and finding enjoyment in this. It could be something similar like that. Oh wait, then he's asking us, would we be able to give up your recent lifestyle and start anew? Then the everything I just explained was meant to be for the answer no, because that would be that we relate to Sai, that we think we're very similar as Sai, and yes would be that we are able to give it up, and it's like just something, we're doing this, we're finding enjoyment in it now, but if this opportunity were to cease to exist and I had to do something else entirely, like, I don't know, play golf, that's the first thing that came to mind due to the golf club from earlier, but yeah, that we could find enjoyment in that this is not the only thing that he can find enjoyment in his life for. But I feel like we have too little background information about Suoh to say that properly and like say like, yes, okay, that's the only thing we can find excitement in, or no, we can't, you know. Which is why I always make this is why with choices, man, I almost make it too difficult for myself to choose, because I take all of these different aspects into account, which probably the people that wrote the game probably didn't even take into account, or didn't even think about that I would think about those things or something. I feel like I just make the choices a lot harder on myself than it would be for most other people, and that they, I don't know, I feel like most people are just like, yes, no. Whereas I just really deeply think about it and just like think about every possible, not only repercussion, every single thing that came to the conclusion of this possible choice, and the possible factors that could help change it, or what could bring us to this choice. I don't know. It's just, I make it too difficult on myself, but I kind of like that actually. Maybe with Misa by my side, I don't know. Would you be able to? I mean, this is just, no is flat out. We're exactly like Sai. We're trained killer just like you. Yes, it's like, okay, that's like we're not like you at all. We're just good at this, but we can do something else if we wanted to. Maybe with Misa by my side is that we just think Misa could change us. But this visual novel has multiple endings anyway, so you know, I'm going to be playing through all of them, and I will be talking more about that later, because this game is actually gonna get like a lot of multiple updates with several new routes and that sort of stuff, new characters later on in future updates. But yeah, we'll talk about that later. But for now, I think we're just gonna try and get the best possible ending with hopefully with Misa. So I'm gonna go for this option, maybe with Misa by my side. Well, maybe not alone, but with a girl like Misa at my side. Wishful thinking, kid. But I won't have my daughter over that easily. Besides, if a good woman was enough to reform people like us, I would have given this up long ago. Anyway, getting back on topic. Although Misa kills for a living, just as we do, she has no motivation to do so. She doesn't need money. She doesn't even have anyone to support. And she doesn't take pleasure in killing. So when she sees someone who does the things he or she does, lives the life she lives, yet takes pleasure in the acts she considers a despicable yet necessary means to an end, well, you've seen what it does to her. So that's it. I thought from the beginning that Misa was a pro at this, but it seems like that was just the result of her training, not of her devotion or love for the job. Even though I'm her partner, I couldn't sense her feelings at all. So then, how do you plan on making this up to her? Huh? Weren't you listening? I just told you how much your actions hurt my daughter. So the question is, how will you make it up to her? Make it up to her? No, but how would I even make up for something like that? It isn't the kind of thing you can just wash over. Yes, it is. Huh? If you say so. I mean, he's been in a similar position before, right? To Misa, someone for whom murder is a daily occurrence, perhaps something like this really is forgivable. But for something as big as this, surely it'll take time. Go back to Karasu's office. Now, fetch Misa. Spend the day doing whatever she wants to do. That's it? That's it. Well, it's a given that Sai knows Misa better than I do. But still, I already told you, didn't I? Misa isn't like me. She isn't like us. So if you show her kindness, if you help her to wash away the bad memories and replace them with good memories, she'll forgive you. Dang. There's this, like, the advice that Sai gave in this situation, I mean, it comes from, obviously, he has been in a similar situation, and even if he didn't handle it himself correctly when he was in that situation, you learn, as I mentioned, right? He maybe made a mistake, and he's thinking like, oh, fuck, this is what I should have done instead. And now he's passing that advice on to us. But I'm surprised that he's actually sort of this acceptant of us, because he's actually showing softer sides of himself, right? Which is something I definitely didn't expect to see of Sai at all. I just expected him to be a hard ass and just, you know, an overprotective dad all the way to the end. But he's actually showing softer sides of himself, which is obviously pretty cool, you know, because it's nice to see those different aspects, different sides of people that make up the entire person. Because you can act as a front of like, I'm the baddest, badass, mean guy in the world, but that's not all that you are. That's just what you want people to think of you as. That's just how you want people to see you. But that's not everything that makes you you.